Take two so far. I started all of this and then realized I wasn't streaming at all. So, hello. Gosh dang. Anyways, we're starting early. We're playing some Valorant. We're with Dayton, Noah, and Trent. Probably going to play some more competitive. And yeah. All right. This is about as far as I got last time. Maybe a little more talking, but all right. Shake my head, Dayton. Are you ready, Noah? That's a no. All right. Yeah, we'll probably continue some comp, maybe. Depends how everybody's feeling. But yeah. Just kind of playing some games. I figured I'd go live earlier versus later.
Wait, are we playing comp?
I don't know. If not now, I was probably going to play some later. Depends what you guys are thinking.
I'm still loading in.
I'm thinking Noah needs to load in.
I'm still loading in.
I doubt that. Don't let him lie to us.
Let me change accounts.
I mean, you have the time.
Snog.
Oh, there go the cats.
Where'd my BB Snog go?
Your BB Snog. Sorry, not your baby anymore. Now your baby is...
Boo Boo. Boo Boo the clown.
Yeah, Boo Boo. Bubba.
Now I'm the party leader.
Shit.
You're the party leader of
That's
this
not a
shit?
good idea. Man, so how's your guys' day been so far?
It's been aight. How has yours been?
You know, I've been here. I woke up, Noah's at work for like an hour and then came back, so now we're here.
Wow, Noah. Only an hour.
I know, I expected him to be gone for a lot longer. So I was like, all right, I got some stuff that I'm planning to do. And now we're here.
Bruh, fuck off.
What?
Do that every time.
Oh.
What happened?
I was hitting it a button.
Oh my god, I'm trying to text it here.
No.
That's great. That's great. No.
I gotta make sure Me 6 is working again because I am having quite a lot of trouble.
I do that to so
With the
many
Mi 6
people. I
bot.
actually didn't know it sends multiple.
Fuck.
I thought it just refreshed it every few seconds or something.
Wait, let me do it to you.
Bet.
I can hear it.
Oh my god! I love it.
I was literally. Wait, can you send me an invite, please?
You can't even. If you keep sending it, I can't even like accept it because it refreshes before I accept it.
I love it.
Oh, I literally was like texting it and it was like ba-ding, 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 and I'm like, what the fuck? Wait.
Wait, what are we doing? I joined Dayton because he invited me.
Oh, I just joined you because you invited me.
Dayton, get back in here. Wait.
It doesn't even say Dayton's online
Oh,
anymore.
shoot, I gotta...
Wait. Where did I go?
It says there's 2 kept Sotys.
Oh, I don't know what's happening. I'm logging back into Me 6 on my thing, so...
I'm sure it's fine, right? Everyone's in here on my
It'll be
screen.
okay, yeah. Oh, there we go. Now it's working. Find.
Are we queuing straight in or you guys want to warm up?
Oh, fuck it. Let's go. Let's go.
Don't worry, guys. I'm ready to FF.
Okay, listen here, mister.
You better be ready to carry.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah,
Because
carry only.
I have like a 3-second delay in between my hands and brain, so.
That's okay.
I did get a 45 popper in a comp earlier, but
Ooh.
that was pretty exhausting.
Okay, there we go. Man, It's a whole process trying to log back in.
Y'all, college starts in less than a month. So
Ew.
Not for me.
Don't go.
Are you sure?
Actually, I'm not. Man.
Surprised you actually
Cody, I
have
forgot to
classes
tell
that you need to
you.
go to now.
my sister got accepted to grad school and she's gonna get her master's.
Which
Oh,
one?
hell yeah.
Ashley.
Nice.
She's
What's
gonna
she
get
going for a master's in?
English literature, and she's gonna teach
God.
college with it.
Ooh, fancy.
I actually like English as
Rather
a
than-
subject, but it's so hard when you get like obviously to the major level.
No,
Yeah.
literally, like it was
It
so
is.
fun reading the books and whatnot, doing the
Mhm.
small reports. But
Elementary
then when
level.
you have to do a research report, and it's like 30 pages.
Yep. Yep.
Bitch, we're
And
playing
they-
top, and I only know how to play Sage, and you just fucking pick Sage right from under me, bitch.
Oh my.
I mean, I'm
Yeah,
playing
I took-
KO, so
I've probably it doesn't matter. I've probably told this story before, but I took Shakespearean ethics in
Ew.
Oh,
jury.
gosh.
And it was like a 400 or I think 399 maybe or maybe 400 level English class. Just for fun. Like I took it as an elective.
yeah, just like people do, you know.
And I did not realize it was going to be that fucking hard. Oh
I
my.
would hate that. Like, I like English and all that, but
Yeah.
You like
And-
English?
Our
That's just
final,
a
I
lot.
actually didn't finish the class. Our final was, I think, a 30-page paper over how the ethical outlook that Shakespeare's plays tries to portray.
oh no.
I'm just like, I'm gonna be honest. I'm probably gonna hop out of here. Like, I don't even know how to start that, bro.
Honestly,
No,
I
you
don't
have
blame you.
spike.
I have what?
what
You have the spike.
You don't
That's
give it to a
good.
duelist, silly.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh. Oh, thank you.
Okay, I'm throwing my shit right in. Oh. Well, fuck.
What the fuck was that?
Damn.
Did y'all see me just get obliterated?
That was quick.
Mm-hmm.
Wall raised. Multiple enemy seen. Enemy spot reloading. Flash. Reloading.
Watch for garage.
Yeah, Silva was
There
in
is garage.
Someone's gonna be coming around.
Okay, 5 seconds on my dart.
Two of them are CT. Last two CT, and this one goes in garage. So
CT
keep
is-
watch for
It's almost too
their
late.
spawn. Their spawn. Yep, Phoenix is there.
Fuck, I hit him 26.
One enemy remaining.
Ah.
Last player standing.
Well, we got it.
Boo boo.
Hey, we're the same.
This is my warm-up match.
Bruh, if I get headshot like that again, honestly,
That,
that was
that was
2
honestly
seconds
kind of
in.
nasty.
Yeah, I just like was looking at you and you're like just collapse immediately. I was like, ah, yes, hello.
It was honestly depressing.
All right.
Fight.
Hi, Vandenbro. How's it going? Played any Valorant lately? That was kind of
Let's just
stinky.
go
Probably need to rotate off that.
No, we don't.
Okay.
Plant. Carter has the bomb. Why isn't he here?
We need bomb at C. What are they doing? Oh, I haven't played anything lately. How's your job going? How's it been?
Enemy spotted. See.
That was my bad. That was just dumb.
Plant the spike, please.
And I was
Like,
waiting
how
for him
long
to
we gotta
cancel
fight
it.
for sight before.
Literally, he needed to rotate with us. We had this
One
site down
enemy remaining.
forever.
You gotta wait those 2 business days, you know? Man.
Oh, she's good.
It's always the Reynas.
Just don't pick her. Oh.
Oh, not that good. That's good. She'll... I shouldn't say that. He's gonna come back haunt me.
I'll shut them down. Until then,
Cody, do you want your Spectre back?
Oh, that would be nice. Sure. Oh, what a pal.
Let's go mid. Or let's go A. Let's go A.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Who am I getting feedback from?
It's not me.
Oh.
I know Dayton happens a lot with that. Or Dayton, that
Wait,
happens.
why? That's weird. Because
I
we
don't
can't hear
know.
his
Do what you gotta
game
do,
or
Reyna.
anything.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, what else you been up to,
When I
bro?
talk, I can hear it come back through your mic.
Yeah, I know it's not me. Because I have headphones on.
Mine's
It's
not
only
like
when I
that.
talk in game.
Oh, in game?
Oh.
All right, I'm pushing long. No, I didn't do it that time. I have no idea.
Nobody mid.
I hear people.
Yeah, people are like walking.
they're suppressed.
They're in
Yeah,
elbow. Is that what that's called? Elbow?
I think so.
Nobody behind us.
I got them
either.
through the wall. They're coming through their spawn.
I think they're literally all there. Oh, minus this one bitch.
Oh my god.
Flash.
Ooh.
Sage is B.
They're heaven. Here.
Oh,
Healing you.
that was close. I saw that shock dart coming. I was like, this is it.
I clicked.
Cody, watch
Not on my body.
Okay.
Two heaven.
Good attempt.
Enemy suppressed.
30 seconds left.
Fuck, 85 to
Spike
Sova.
down A. One
Sova's,
enemy remaining.
Oh,
Last
fuck.
player
Last
standing.
one.
Sova's hit 85 CT.
Yeah.
I wouldn't flash. He doesn't know where you are right now. Wait till that scans and then sneak out. But you
Go.
need to go fast.
Go.
He's to the left, to the left.
10 seconds left.
Oh, good try, good try, good try.
Damn.
Shoot the bad guys. How's that for a plan?
Thanks. That's all I'm
We didn't
gonna
get my
say.
app though. I'm out of money, guys. Bad news.
BM right away. Sheesh.
What did he say?
Oh, he's just shooting my body.
Oh.
Spike's here.
Give it.
You know what to do.
I don't want
I have one nick until I get ult.
Still inside.
Suppressing.
How the fuck?
I didn't get anybody.
92 Sage. I had a pistol.
I can res.
92 Sage.
That was good. Getting more
Gonna
comfortable.
heal
That's
herself.
nice.
You want me to res?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Duty is not
You should
over.
plant also. You have bomb plant.
Heard. Oh, I'm getting shot.
Take that off. Yeah, yeah,
Spike down. C.
Wait,
No,
I'm
no,
long.
yeah.
Enemy spotted C.
No, you have my phantom. Yeah, long.
She's in cubby. In cubby.
Oh, fuck. I gotta aim in. Just been chilling. Haven't been motivated game lately. That's okay.
One enemy remaining. Last
pressed
player
C.
standing.
I have a lot of times like that.
Oh, shit.
There's a map.
Pay attention. Might learn something.
Yeah,
Happy
welcome.
anniversary. Less than 3.
Yes, indeed.
Welcome back.
Welcome.
Oh, you bet. Oh, I literally cannot mute myself.
Welcome to the stream.
Hi, Kia. Oh my gosh, Cody, tomorrow's our anniversary.
It is.
That Reyna
It's
was
been
trying
so
to
long.
off, and I headshotted her.
How have you been? I imagine
Happy
working a lot.
pre-anniversary.
Not like date
A whole
anniversary.
12 months.
Like tomorrow's
Nah.
like my 14th.
That was in June though.
See ya.
Why did I buy an
June
op?
23rd.
I don't know, why did you?
Not an op.
Man. Sorry, I might not be responding right away because we're in a comp game right now.
Spike down. C.
I didn't see him.
I thought you were just standing there just watching me die.
No, I couldn't
enemy
see him at all.
remaining.
Plant the spike.
We don't have the spike yet. Here.
Spike retrieved.
Woo.
Looks like
Fuck
I
it up.
destroyed.
Oh. We gotta turn on.
Damn right we're crushing it.
Where is it? Where is it? Where is it?
Let's go B.
There we go.
We'll
Streamer
never
mode.
expect it.
Here, someone else grab this.
Give me a second. I'm coming.
Man, just moved into a new
Give
apartment
me
yesterday.
this-
Yes, I heard.
The spike.
Maybe next week we can do some Gloomhaven or something. Next Thursday. How was it? You got everything moved in after one day? Everything's unpacked, right? Completely
On my way.
settled?
Launching smoke.
Knife deployed. Enemy
Oh,
suppressed.
yeah, they're back there and fuck. I didn't see that.
One's flanking.
Man, how is the new apartment?
Where? A?
Behind. They're gonna be behind us in window. Yeah, somebody needs to help protect Snaggle. She has spike.
I'm
Got him.
Okay, babe, get on site. Go, 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 go. B.
Going.
There.
watch out, Noah.
Get out of my way.
One enemy remaining.
You guys
Oh.
are insane.
Perfect. I'll just
Sorry,
pick up
he
his
had a
vandal.
vandal. I wanted it.
Oh.
They'll see before they die.
I made their jet waste their ult.
Everything moved in. Still, unpacking takes a long time. Although it's so nice whenever
If
you're in there.
When you go
that
out to
first
grab a
night,
vandal like that, if you have me go out first, that way the person with the spike doesn't die. Because as soon as the person with the spike dies, they know exactly where we are and what our plan is.
but the first night in the apartment is
Shot
always
spike
like
down.
the weirdest, but also best sleep. You know? Oh, it's so weird.
Where are we going? A?
Yeah, what's the plan? Stan? Oh,
Enemy spotted B.
Yeah, I was just scoping out B.
oh, fuck it up. I'm gonna go long with Breach.
Hell yeah. I
Or what's
can.
his name? Brimstone. Breach?
Shutting them down.
No,
You will
Brimstone.
not kill my ally.
Well, nobody's
Oh.
in window up top.
Fragment.
That was a good throw.
Molly.
Gee. Oh,
Shit.
Shit window.
yep.
Oh,
Fuck.
There. Phoenix and Jet are up there.
Fuck.
And they're all
One's
like
in
right
hell.
here.
I can do
Last player standing.
No, I was gonna switch to my gun, my other gun.
They flanked perfectly too.
Ah, so sad.
Okay, so A is when they win.
Amazing
Let's not go
view,
A.
super quiet. Ooh, good
Let's
stuff.
ruin their day.
The food
They won
truck.
both times we went A.
Honestly, food trucks are probably some of the best food that I've had in like a lot of the
won both
places that I've
times.
gone. I love food trucks.
So take that.
Equipment.
Wow, Noah's
kind of
doing
food truck
better
is
than
it?
I am now. Sus.
Here
He's
in
a
town, we
sussy
have
bussy.
a little food truck
Noah, when
park
did
that we
your,
can go to,
Hacks
and
turn
apparently
on?
it's really good.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I know Noah and I, whenever we moved into this place,
What hack?
we got like a whole
Like,
bunch of stuff that we didn't have
fine,
before.
right?
So, like even now, I'm just super excited about it
Oh.
because
we're not
it's like
going this way.
washer and dryer, dishwasher, like off-street parking, all that stuff. 2 bedrooms. Oof, it's just so nice moving into a new place.
Headshot.
Literally 4 people just destroyed her. Oh,
Enemy spotted.
I got her on the noggin.
Reloading.
suppressing.
There's a lot of people in there.
They're suppressed. Fragment.
Fuck. Well,
Where are you?
that works.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, that destroys that wall. Oh,
I fuck.
Trained you.
I've never heard of a seafood food truck before.
I have old.
18 seconds on
Someone's
my
behind us.
spy. Where behind?
There.
Oh, fuck.
Flashbang.
One enemy remaining.
Jet's hopping.
Well, one of us will get her.
Yeah, pick her at the same time as me. Ready? 3,
Fuck.
2, 1.
Did not mean to do that. Just a little short. I think she knows to not.
I think she's saving.
Yeah.
Be careful.
Yeah, I'm watching. Okay. I'm always worried it's going to be like disarmed.
My smokes can block the
Oh.
enemy's line of sight. Once they're blind, we move.
Okay. You also live a block away from downtown, so you can walk to a bunch of restaurants. Ooh.
Jet has op. She'll probably be C.
Our Noah and I's first apartment was
She
on
was
Main
B
Street in
last
our
time.
downtown,
Oh.
and there were like a bunch of bars and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, we weren't
Yeah,
old
I
enough to
tried
drink,
that. Can you res me?
so
Yeah.
we didn't really get to
I can't
utilize that.
personally,
But it was so nice living downtown.
Peek with op.
I gotta.
Yeah, what else you been up to? I know moving takes up a lot of time,
That's a
but
nice op.
what else you been doing?
Enemy spotted.
Hit that.
Just be careful. They
I
might
have-
be coming behind us.
Suppressing. Enemy suppressed.
Well,
Flash.
Be careful.
Enemy spotted C.
oh my lord,
Needs
that made
heal.
me so anxious.
Babe, did I heal you or?
One enemy remaining.
I don't know.
I think I healed Brimstone somehow.
You're all good.
Flash.
Oh,
Behind us.
Oh, whoops. Hi, Cody.
hi, how's it going?
She's going to garage.
I didn't mean to do that.
Honestly, just been trying to get used to your third shift schedule. Yeah, I can see that.
Flawless.
Fuck it up.
Wow.
Little did she know she was gonna get got.
That's a cute op.
Activating kill mode.
Did you guys like my callouts? I hope you did.
Kill mode is default.
Yeah, I did.
Thought I was gonna sneeze.
Thank you.
Wow, I guess
Just
I'm
kidding,
good
I
as
was.
the spike bitch.
Oh my gosh.
Don't mind me, the pack mule of the team.
Honestly, it's a good thing for our Sage to get Spike because it's like 8 orbs for ult for her.
It really is. Yeah, not much new around here. Just we got back playing games, a bunch of pictures,
What
and
do I do?
I'm already ready to go on
Brimstone
another
told me I know what to
vacation.
do, but I
Honestly,
don't.
like
Noah?
it was a lot of fun.
No. 2 of them flanking from C.
I need help.
Oh nope, there's 3.
74 Phoenix.
Well, we're just getting pooped on.
Yikes.
I'm watching flank. Be careful. Cody, don't push.
Damn it. I wasn't gonna go much further than that, but
Last player standing.
live and learn.
One enemy
Opponent
remaining.
killed.
Res somebody.
I think you heard behind. Mid, to your left.
Oh,
Your duty is
Shit.
not over.
here we go.
Behind.
Last player standing.
141.
Spike down mid.
She's gonna heal herself.
Fuck. That was. I hate myself.
She can't, can she?
Not
may
with
be
my
out.
ult.
30 seconds
Where
left.
is she? Fuck.
I think she had
All
it.
good. Okay.
I didn't hit her, so I think she would have.
Ah well. I'm still new to the guy. I'm not too pressed.
We get a pick, we move in. Got it?
Oh yeah, I did get some new plans. They are. I mean, the ZZ plant is just like a basic plant that I feel like everybody should have. Super low maintenance, basically indestructible. And then the other one just has really cool leaves, and I don't know anything about it. But yeah. And I hung up a mirror all by myself, so you know we're feeling pretty good.
Shutting them down.
Can somebody spray the wall for me?
Don't care much for flowery things. Oh, I love leafy plants. Flowers are nice and all, but I'm kind of with you on that.
Behind. I'm so fucking bad.
It's just
There you go.
ZZ
Cody,
plant
be careful.
instead of the A. Me too.
I gotta
Oh.
heal.
There's a cooler up on my body if you want it.
Reload. Enemy spotted C.
Let's payback. I got an assist.
I don't know how I got the kill.
That's okay.
All right.
You know what? It's team effort. I'm just a support, honestly.
Suppress it.
I heal.
Nobody in garage.
15. Where are we going?
Let's go back
A?
B maybe.
Oh,
30 seconds left.
we gotta commit.
Alright. You guys are leaving.
Dim beacon
Trent
here.
behind.
Oh,
I heal now.
For you.
Cody,
okay. Yeah, I would just
Pass.
plant.
I'm gonna wall.
Barrier created.
Yeah. Oh,
10 seconds left. One enemy remaining.
Bruh, toxic Trent.
God, fuck off. I was about to die with your op. I was like, nah, not today, man.
Babe, I have heal in 20.
That
she's
was actually
still
a
right
really
next
good
to me.
play.
Suppress it.
Oh, she's hit 142 unless she got healed. Yeah.
Nah.
Reloading.
Last round before the switch.
We're moving out. Pack heavy.
Well, whenever this game's over, I'll be able to pull it up. But
They can't off this round.
it is
Someone took my
a very
spike.
good plant. That snake plant, philodendrons, just they're nice leafy plants and very easy
Why
to
can't
take
they
care
off
of.
this round?
Because nobody has 40.
Like, none of my plants are super hard to take care of per
Broke
se, but yeah.
bitches, honestly. Don't forget
Ah.
shields, Trent. I
bad.
tried. Nope, I just saw last minute, so prep.
Smoke's down.
Oh,
Thanks.
Enemy suppressed.
Reloading.
it's hopping and skipping my way.
Flashbang.
Everyone else, I can watch flank. Everyone else go.
Oh fuck!
Enemy
I gotta heal
spotted C.
myself.
Flash.
Reina's on flank.
Sage 133.
One on flank, one on flank.
You will not kill my allies.
That's CT. Right here.
Grenade.
Oh, that'll slow him for a second.
Back deployed. They're suppressed.
I stopped him from doing the other one.
One enemy remaining.
He's on flank. Oh shit,
Not
she
flank.
moved? Nice.
time.
I don't know how she got there. Oh wait, she can get there easily. I'm just
Sheesh.
trolling.
Switching sides.
Ah shit! I could have.
What happened?
Still a different story.
I had my ult, but I didn't know it was the last round.
Ah.
I ran out of ammo in an Odin and was reloading mid-fight versus Sage and died because of it. I hit her 133, then started reloading, then she headshot me.
Honestly, I'm very glad that my cats don't really eat any of the plants, and the ones that they do, there's like only one plant that they eat, and it's not toxic.
Watching Garage.
Man,
You're watching Garage.
I know, that's why I
that
said.
he is.
Oh. I'm just kidding.
Man, I'm.
Hey.
Oh, okay. Oh wait, I'm
Rotating.
I'm at A.
They're all there. They're all there.
They're suppressed.
Try to stay alive. Don't 1v1 them or 1v3.
I'm not trying.
You're good. We can push in now.
I don't.
I
Oh,
have
right around the corner there.
Reloading.
Spike down.
Damn it, 90 on Jet.
Down and out.
One enemy remaining.
They were not
Good job, guys.
Ooh.
Nice.
Race it to the spike sites.
I know.
Cody.
Today's also kind of like an extra stream as well. Man. I'm gonna take some
Going
time
back
next
garage.
week. Not next week.
Yeah, that's good to share,
tomorrow
you know.
to kind of like plan
We're all
out
there.
some things for stream, like specific games I want to play, and because there's a big sale going on, and there's one game that I've been wanting for a while that's like,
I don't know
$4
how I
bucks.
head tops or head taps.
and it's a story game, and apparently it's really sad, and that's
Yeah.
perfect.
You're insane.
Yep,
Thanks.
it's built different.
Differently.
Oh my
Aussie,
god.
Aussie.
Oh my god. Woo.
Come here, Brimstone.
Whoa.
Good trade.
Enemy
Spike
spotted.
down. C.
Enemy suppressed.
Here.
One of them's over there.
Reloading.
Throwing charge.
One enemy
Enemy
remaining.
down.
Well played, Ben.
Spike
Good kill,
planted.
everyone.
Yo, I can heal you.
Flashbang.
Reloading.
He is.
Healing you.
Oh, she's dead. I was about ready to throw another charge.
Does someone want half?
Thank you.
Honestly. Sad games are my
Ooh, a
favorite.
Spectre. I'll take that.
And I need some more story games to play. I
Vin,
think
did you have the Spectre?
due
No.
to
I didn't care.
Koodle's recommendation and just what everybody else says about the game as well. Maybe some Hollow Knight.
On
know,
the road
maybe.
again.
I've been
Schneep,
thinking
schnapp,
about it, and
schnapp,
he's
schnapp.
like, just do it. So I think that might be something to look into. I think they have it on Xbox Games Pass as well.
Guys, I don't want to alarm you, but I think we're
I'm
winning.
alarmed. Shh. When did this
Damn,
happen?
sorry. I don't know.
A.
Hey,
Shutting them down.
That didn't
Wait,
get
there's-
anybody.
there's only one.
Jet was the only one over there.
Oh.
There's multiple short.
Diversion.
Oh, too long, too long. A. Can I get a heal?
Yeah, coming.
Shit, watch out. Phoenix is right there.
Enemy killed.
What the hell was that sound?
One
It's a
enemy
robot.
remaining.
I hit her.
Flash.
Thank you.
Ah, hello.
I have no idea what the fuck you just said.
Flash.
Okay.
Quit flashing me. Ooh, Vandal.
Match point.
Usher them towards
We
their
are
eternal death.
absolutely slaying this team.
I didn't understand how far ahead we were until last game.
I didn't even know until it just said match point. I was like, whoa,
I
they
looked and I was
only
like,
have
wow.
3 rounds.
You want to know what's funny about those 3 rounds? Each like 2 of them are when we decided to go A instead of like C.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
The only
You
one.
called
was A
that and we
round.
stopped going in.
Yeah.
Shutting them down.
They are.
Nobody
They're
short.
garage. They're grass.
Mid.
Okay.
They're grass.
You haven't played Hollow Knight, but you've watched Doc and Koodles play it. I've heard it's really good. And the music and the art direction is so good. Who's a
It is.
robot? Like, who is that?
I need help. Are you? I hit that 80. She's.
Behind a garage, I hit 114 Sova.
Player
Eh.
standing. Spike
114
down. C.
Sova.
Jet hit 80. Jet's on site. On C. The last time I saw her.
Scared the shit out of me.
One enemy remaining. Spike down. C.
She has a op, so be careful.
Man. Good thing I can't spell carry.
Get out of my way.
30 seconds left.
Oh my god.
Defend.
Oh my god.
Was that supposed to be a fight?
That was mean.
That was kind of mean.
It's pretty funny though. I'm not gonna lie.
So
Oh man.
short, quick tidbit. She can't wall bang with that because I made. So I was like, I'm just gonna shoot her through the fucking wall.
Oh, I love it. Ooh, got some dailies done. Okay. Another.
Wait, hold on.
Okay.
Let me put some stuffs on my gun.
Oh, you all good? I gotta set a reminder to actually like go and plan stuff out.
Be right back.
Okay. And there's so many like good games that I've been looking at that I'm like, ooh, that'd be fun. I also re-downloaded like PUBG, and there's this one game called Stream Racer that I'm wanting to try out maybe later this evening. This is what it looks like. It kind of goes along the like marbles kind of thing, where it's like the Twitch stream and like, you know, everybody that's so like chat and the streamer can be part of it, and it's I don't really know much about it, but I thought it'd be cool. Like here's Womp. There we go. I just haven't seen this before, so
Noah,
Yeah.
are you feeling it yet?
Yeah.
That's good.
oh, did you guys see Noah has Oreo churros?
That sounds weirdly good.
They're pretty good, not gonna lie. I also thought about playing some City Skylines or something. Oof. Man, glad to be moved in and get things back to normal. Oof. Here, Noah, let me.
Thanks.
Check.
All right, do we just want to play another one of those, or
I'm down.
Oh,
What?
sure.
I can log into my Iron 3 account too.
Up to you.
I'm still
take
on
me a
the Iron
second.
3.
Since I did, the problem is since
So
I did
good.
decent that game, and since I got above 30, I'm worried it's gonna pair us with a fucking hard game. But I have another account fresh.
Filled with icing, and they also have
Don't ask how.
icing to dip them
How do I
in.
get to Radiant?
So they're pretty
Just
good.
keep this up.
Very sweet.
Everyone did good on that game, to be honest.
I cannot.
That was a poggers game.
I'll fill you. Noah's trying to get me to fill his water. Man, honestly, they're so good. I can only have a little bit. My guilty pleasure has been sweet tart ropes. They're so good. Also very sweet. And I just reminded myself, here's the mirror that I hung up. Circular. But it's kind of small, and it just adds a little something. Next thing on the list is shelves. We'll get it done. Oh, by the way. Hold on a second.
Alright, I'm ready when you guys are.
Is not showing up. Noah's the party leader now.
Dayton, you ready?
Yeah.
How far are you guys away from Bronze 1? If you go to career?
71 out of 100.
Let me
Oh,
check.
damn.
67 out of
Oh, yeah.
100.
That's close.
65 out of 100.
So probably like 2 games for everyone. Usually it's like 20 to 25, I think, on average between
don't know.
the games.
I don't know you. That's
Here's what I was gonna show.
first
There's Annie.
W.
She's sleeping. Kind of. It's all the cat nap times. Pretty much just any time during the day is nap time. Man,
I have no skinnies.
to be a cat. I'll be your skinny.
Whoa.
Sorry, Dayton.
Found.
Wow, how dare you?
Skinny. Every time I hear that, I think of the Lady Gaga clip of her just like stopping everything. I'm really liking KO.
Oh shit! You said you. Oh wait, no, you said you play Sage. Sorry. I thought somebody said they play Reyna
Man,
earlier.
you need to put something above your couch wall since it's so empty. Honestly, that's like one of the hardest things to do.
There,
It's just like
Noah.
finding good things.
Enjoy.
Like
Enjoy what?
one of okay,
It's
one
not
of my
gay.
favorite styles. Sorry, I'm switching cameras a lot.
Why
but,
don't you play Raze, babe?
on TikTok?
No, I don't want to.
You slap a Raze. Ooh.
No, I don't.
Yeah,
Don't
you
lie
do.
Don't lie at me.
I'm not lying at you. I'm truthing to you. Okay,
Yo,
I'm
what's
trying
your
to
main
find
account rank, dude? Chicken.
on like TikTok. I liked there's like this style that people have in their houses.
Usually people that play like, I don't know. I feel like people that
Where is
play just like click on a duelist and lock them
Like-
are probably higher ranked.
I don't
than
like
me.
clutter, but I like having a
Are
lot
in
of
currently.
stuff.
I'll take them out.
And there's a very specific look that's really cool. I'll find it
Here.
whenever I have another downtime. But mirrors,
Jet, you
I
got a
really
mic?
like vintage looking stuff on the walls. Shelves with plants are good,
Are you going
or
mid?
just like putting
No,
a
I'll go
little
mid.
like a little metal sculpture kind of thing on the wall. That
Last time
anything
I
to
did
fill up
this, I
space
jiggle peeked
that-
this shot, got a clat.
A what?
I didn't
collateral.
understand any of those as words. What was it?
Sorry, I got a double kill with like 2 insta headshots when I peeked this last time.
Ah. My brain did not know what was happening. No,
Oh, jet mid.
thrift stores are an amazing place to find a bunch of stuff to put on your walls.
Oh, 52 jet.
Shutting them down. They're suppressed.
Oh damn! I died.
Enemy spot shot down.
Fuck. I thought the opening was somewhere else.
Be careful, Jet and Reyna were both here mid.
Spike planted.
Oh. Nobody saw that.
Down. Scanning ahead. There they are.
2, 1.
Knife deployed.
Fuck.
Last player standing.
Damn it. I didn't have enough time to get my stuff back out.
Did you right click there, Ben?
Yeah.
Oh damn! Yeah, I was
Your
gonna
jet
say
is playing hard to get.
that's the play. I
All
think.
right, I'll play.
I should have crouched.
Man. Pinterest some things. Pinterest is a great place to find inspiration. It is.
What are you doing in me swamp?
That sounded kind of sad. You're like,
Swamp.
Let's go.
Get out of me swamp.
just more sad. Man, TikTok is also like a really great place to find
I think I
specific
found a
things
few
that I
of
didn't know
them.
existed. Like there's this one
What?
planter that is an
No.
ice cream cone, and it is
Jet
so
hit
cute.
25. Sky's right by her, so she's probably healed.
Shit. No, I just find a lot of stuff passively that I like.
Enemy spotted B.
Spike down B.
Ooh, they're pretty injured.
Oh dang! That Reyna's insane.
Last player
No,
standing.
108. Oh. Noah made you hungry. I hope you get a good snack. Noah's now licking the icing out of the container. I can't blame him. I mean, I feel that. These people, I'm telling you. What the hell?
Yeah, they're a lot better.
I need to knock it off. I'm not this good at KO yet, so they could kindly
Clear to
stop.
engage. Weapons hot.
My weapons are hot.
Multiple B.
They really like B.
I hit her a few times. She's gonna go get
Did you
healed
put the
by
wall up?
Sage.
Suppressing.
Can I get heal?
Yeah, I'm
If you-
coming. I'm
if
coming.
you-
Come
I'm
here.
about. Oh.
They may rotate. They're rotating.
Okay, I'm going around back.
Uh,
Oh,
found
not
that edge.
rotating, just going through heaven.
Spike down B.
Reloading.
One enemy remaining.
Reloading.
He's here.
Where? Oh.
Right there.
Oh, time to go around. Okay. Nice.
Didn't know you could shoot through that.
Shout.
Them down. Never back down.
Reloading.
You can. Yes.
Who can?
Wow.
Well,
That's what I've learned with the using the Odin so much is so much stuff is like wall bangable.
Cody, go mid
okay.
and throw your knife at the mid entrance or whatever it is.
Never.
Okay.
He's talking about right here.
Yeah.
Actually, right here.
There.
Yeah. Actually. Yeah. Right.
Net deployed.
I got you.
Enemy
Jet.
suppressed.
A.
Yeah, she's lurking.
Coming over to A. Fuck. 104 Sky. Up ramps in heaven. That was a cool sound.
53 Cypher.
Zaffer. We should all put on southern accents for this whole match.
No.
Anytime we talk in team chat.
Last player standing.
Oh, she knows.
We have the bomb on our side.
One enemy remaining.
I walled off the bomb into A.
Seconds
Well,
left.
she's pretty injured. I hit her 104. There's no healer on their team. Oh, yes, there is.
Oh my.
Oh, dude.
10 seconds left.
Come on, dude.
She has enough time.
Oh, nice.
Should stop trying.
My bad for missing all those.
Reyna, I acknowledge your performance.
I shouldn't be spraying the Vandal long range.
You know what? You do you. We're just here to cry a little bit.
How can I still not afford a Vandal?
I don't know. I know that's right. Little bam busting out. Not a big fan of Cardi B.
Cardigan backyard again. You mean?
You heard me.
Suppressing.
Multiple B, multiple B.
Not A.
Jet's on site.
trail.
I'll block the others out.
Oh, I forgot I switched to the spline.
Did I literally block them all out? I did. They broke the wall though. Oh, they're in there.
Spike down B. One enemy remaining.
Damn it. Revive me.
God, we are.
Here you go, bitch.
Yeah,
Time
bitch.
to stock back up.
Woo.
Y'all like my gun?
Yeah, it's freaking cool as hell.
Thanks. Babe,
What'd you grab?
like my gun?
Noah's
Yeah.
on his second container of icing for the churros after licking the other one
Show
clean.
Shoot it.
Man, I'm full.
What
I
gun is that?
had some of those and I
Oh,
was like, that's
that's,
enough for me. And I'm just drinking
blind.
some
You
coffee.
showed me earlier.
Get out of my way.
Does that cancel her
Enemy
ult?
suppressed.
That I was muted. Does that cancel her ult?
Barrier created.
Yeah.
I know it cancels other people's shit.
Not Viper.
Well, just temporarily though.
Yeah. Or disables it, my bad. That's a better word.
Enemy spotted B.
She's still in sewers.
What?
What was that?
Oh no, she's not.
Her ult. Yeah, she.
You will not kill my ally. Yes, ground. Three down.
One enemy remaining.
Down. Reloading.
I just. Oh my
Whoa,
God.
get it.
I just stay them bitches.
Fuck it up.
Hell yeah.
Oh, was that important?
You know what? Get it.
Net deployed.
A bow and arrow is also
Bruh, I
Sometimes
headshot
old
the
ways are
Reyna
Shit.
twice. They're in their jet.
Got some ice cream. Also leftover Cracker Barrel. Ooh. I haven't been to Cracker Barrel in forever. We have one in town here, but
Oh my, why am I going B?
I don't think I'd go to Cracker Barrel voluntarily. But yeah, it's not the worst food.
Let's get this done.
I've been going B this whole time. Just
Sorry, me now.
Shutting them down.
We got Jet over here.
Suppressed.
There's one more B man at least.
Jet's hit for like 100.
One enemy
Jet
remaining.
grounded.
Last one was B
Do
man.
not fight.
Nice.
Fuck it
You guys
up.
are insane.
Reloading.
What?
It's just how it
Why
is.
we are a team.
Bruh, I'm having so much fun right now.
No, his Oreo churros are coming in clutch.
Bro, Noah, you're just like
He really is.
performance enhancing drugs.
Shh,
No,
don't tell him that.
Secret.
He'll never be a pro player then. They won't let him play in the Olympics.
The only thing I do is smoke weed. Yeah, you understand now.
I understand why she got canceled from the Olympics. I'm just kidding. I
Yikes.
feel bad for her.
She would have been too strong.
You like their
Too strong.
Honestly, if she can run that fast on weed, like imagine not on weed.
Hey, I think A.
I think A.
I'm sneaking through sewers.
Me too.
I gave up heaven because they're. Be careful.
Only one because your parents were paying. Honestly, if somebody else is paying, I'll go wherever they want to go. Like I don't like seafood, but I'll go. I'll go. Like if they went somewhere with seafood, this is an example
I
of
walked
someplace
right
that I would. Wow, they're all up
One
ramps.
enemy remaining.
She's like right.
Is knocked over.
Oh,
Noah, what the fuck are you on, mate?
Where is she?
Shutting them down.
yep, she's over here.
There.
What's fucking insane is the enemy team's decent too, and fucking Noah's just mowing.
Not
them.
good enough.
Give me half.
What?
Wow.
No, honestly,
I'm
if somebody
sorry,
else is
sorry.
paying, I'll go wherever they want. Like honestly, ooh,
I hate to say it, but
the
probably
food just
best
tastes
here.
better that way, you know.
I have 9,000 money.
I have 8,000 money. Man,
There you go.
Thanks, babe.
You're welcome. Oh,
I've had my churros. Noah's had his churros. Mine aren't kicking in too well though.
revealing area.
Suppressing.
There they are.
Spike down B.
I could've just
Oh,
missed. I'm so bad.
I just
I've
missed
got
on
your
everything
trail.
too.
I know exactly
Spike
where.
planted.
Oh fuck. Well,
Good job, man.
Flashbang.
Last player standing.
Cypher's in garage.
don't
I
even
try to
make-
cut him off there. Yeah, no time.
Unfortunate.
It's the first round we've lost in a while.
It is.
Oh. Man,
And every time I think of churros, though, I
just
think of
running to run, I
fairs. So like
I thought I was
churro,
gonna get
funnel
Sky
cake,
with my
like
ult,
that
but
fresh,
Yeah,
like
I'm
squeezed
surprised that
lemonade.
she dodged that.
That's a fair. Oof. Although the first, like I've been to a lot of county fairs. The first state fair I went to, there's a tornado. So that's the only state fair I've been to. I don't know why. It's just weird coincidence.
Shutting them down.
Okay. Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh, nasty. Oh, you already got her.
Spike down B. One enemy remaining.
All right. 124. Oh.
Even with
I think the only churro you've had was from Jack in the Box.
Remember that.
Noah would kill somebody for Jack in the Box.
I
He's
haven't died
agreeing.
for a while.
He would absolutely kill somebody for Jack in the Box. What do you get at Jack in the Box? This is the moment of truth.
Yeehaw.
Tornado at the fair. I know it was. The thing was, I was very little. I lost my hat at that fair,
Sorry, that was
and
weird.
I was stuck on a swing,
What?
and I was like the last one off
What?
as the like tornado sirens were going off and the wind was getting all crazy. It was
Sage
a little traumatic.
Oh,
I'm fine now, but
They're all
man, kid me, he was a mess. How y'all doing?
Spike down A.
Oh, guess I'm going A.
We have Spike.
yeah.
Sage.
Reloading.
Jeez.
Be careful, Cody.
There. Grenade out.
One enemy remaining.
That was a well played.
Fuck! And I don't check the corner.
Blocking sight.
That was one of the better
Last
plays as
round
KO
in
that
the
I've had,
half.
though.
Load up. We're not coming back.
Yeah, that was a
OMG.
fucking 5-head play. Throw that thing back there.
OMG, you guys are cats for using my gun. I guess stealing his gun.
Oh, okay.
That's what
Oh,
he said.
don't really care for Jack in the Box. Uh-oh. Don't tell Noah that. You get a basic cheeseburger. There's sourdough burger. Ah, sourdough.
Spike
Anything is
down
just.
B.
Oof.
Uh,
I love sourdough.
Suppressing. Fragment.
Where's Spike? Where's Spike at again?
Watch this.
Oh, it's gone.
yeah, they're rotating, I think.
Bug 78 Sage. They're going through mid.
I don't know why I do these things.
I know
Alright.
He just gets the tacos.
Jet.
That's literally all he gets, but
Is
he
big
would
poopy.
kill for those tacos. I don't think he ever gets their egg rolls. Just tacos. Literally, that's
Noah,
it.
can you res?
I don't think it's that great, but Noah loves her.
Trap.
Spike
Enemy
planted.
blocking sight.
No, you're not. Sage is on Cypher. I don't know where he's at.
One
They
enemy
planted.
Like the
remaining.
tacos aren't bad,
Yeah,
but I
that's what I
don't.
said. Sage is
I wouldn't
on
commit any
site.
crimes over them. Noah,
Blocking sight.
What?
Jack in the Box.
Oh, she is.
Jack
not
in the Box
on
has
site.
mini
Noah, be
tacos now.
Let's go. Defuse, defuse.
He's busy.
She's in. You can defuse.
She's in sewer.
Let me look
She's
this
in
up.
sewer.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
easy.
Dragon red.
You really expect that to work.
Noah,
Wow.
look. Noah, look at
What
this.
did they say?
Switching
City
sides.
needs me.
She's can I get res?
Many tacos,
No,
Noah.
somebody typed something in chat.
Oh, they
Pussy.
said pussy.
Twice. Just remember, Noah, since I didn't get the res, next time I play Sage, guess what?
You don't get
You're
the
not
res.
getting res. Yeah.
Bruh,
I'll take
that
it.
Jet and I went through a horrific
Noah says he wants those tacos very, very
amount of stress
badly.
together.
It's the only way that he'd take a trip out to where Dayton lives. Oof. Were you?
God, I think every single one of the people on the enemy team is like for him.
Meow just said, I'm dating my little 3-year-old brother.
That's
Enemy
cute.
spotted B.
That's kind of nasty, if you ask me. That's not where I meant to put that. Well, good thing I get it back. Oh,
Reloading. Enemy spotted.
everybody's blinded.
Reload.
Ah! What the?
Oh.
On the right.
The only thing I'm like that with is nacho fries at Taco Bell. Those things
Damn
are,
it.
I don't know what is, like what's in those that they just like make me go crazy for, but
One enemy remaining.
that's the only thing that I've ever, they're behind, that I've ever done that with. Damn, she's taking us all out.
Hit her for 60.
Hit her for 60.
Okay, listen here. Like that with checkers?
I would aim a little
Ooh.
further up, like towards where you. Yep. You're gonna see her
I've
head
never
right
been
there.
to a checkers, but I've seen them in St. Louis.
Oh, Thomas
driven
is
by them.
so dry.
Don't have any anymore. Closest one is 2 hours away. Oh my god.
Stay alive. I want their life, not yours.
The Taco Bell comment, whatever. It's fine. I guess. But I don't know if I'd travel 2 hours for food though. Like if it was on the way to something else, maybe. Like a little detour, but I don't know about that.
Let's go.
Even for those nacho fries.
Revealing
I'm
area.
coming mid.
Shutting them down.
Bonk.
Jet's mid. Jet's mid. Or she's in here.
Okay.
Good job.
Gotta be careful. I can. Oh, I was gonna say I can blind them.
Damn.
Ooh. Oh, watch out! Somebody's coming through.
Watch out, babe. Or, sorry. That's no, I thought you were playing Sage.
Flash.
Spike down
died.
B.
Be careful.
48. It's Sky. 48 Sky.
In the corner, it's Sky. She's going
Sky was
around
just
back.
Here. Grab bomb somebody.
One enemy remaining.
Sky's over somewhere.
Flashbang.
She's on the bomb. In
Yeah.
garage.
Thirty seconds left.
Suppressing. Enemy suppressed.
Yeah. Well, we can probably kill her before the time's up. Okay.
Like that.
Yep.
Could
Not right now.
This time. Have any patterns emerged yet?
You do other stuff in the area, but stop for the food. No, 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 no. Only for the food. You get it and you leave. That's it. Somebody just go outside or something? Like... Oh. What is happening? Oh, I see. 11 and 3. This is becoming a trend. I'm okay with it. Like, I'm perfectly fine.
Fun.
Reloading.
40 Jet. Oh my god. I'm losing my touch.
They res.
Reloading.
There's a vandal
Yeah,
on
can
my
we get
body,
a-
unless someone picked it up.
Revealing area.
Can I
Hey,
have
can
it?
we get a res on our Sage?
Jet picked it up.
Damn it, 80 on Jet. She's coming through the garage. Yep, right in there.
Careful.
She's around the
Watching
corner.
here.
Cody,
Gun
what gun
here.
did you have?
Here.
Vandal. I just hit her in the
Watching
chest.
here.
You had a
Help.
Spectre.
No, I didn't. She took my
Watching here.
Vandal.
Oh.
So careful. She's got a Vandal now. Okay.
Cutting their vision.
I feel like we need some dramatic music over this.
Revealing area.
I'm so confused. Chicken Doom's the random person,
30
right?
seconds left.
Yeah.
They just shot a lantern. Like, randomly.
Last player.
Oh my god!
Where were they?
Scared the shit out of me. Annie?
The enemy only looks.
Oh my gosh.
Their hearts tell a different.
What about sit-down restaurants? What kind of sit-down restaurants do you like?
That was so fucking funny.
'Cause I
Let's
don't...
go A.
I'm trying to think of like any, and I don't really have any standout sit-down restaurants. Noah, what about you?
What?
What kind of sit-down restaurant do you like, Noah? Like your favorite sit-down one?
Scanning ahead.
Nothing? Okay. That's not what I...
Shutting them down.
Okay.
Where's my favorite sit
We got 2 people up on top of ramps. Just chilling. Don't think you have a favorite one. Honestly, I'm with you on
She
that.
walled off.
Because I was thinking,
guys
and I
will
just
do
cannot
magic.
think of a sit-down restaurant that really is just like, this is great, you know? Like, they're all not terrible, but like, I wouldn't...
They're heaven.
They're in screens.
Flashbang.
Legit 54.
Oh.
There.
Revealing area.
Fragment.
Oh.
Knife deployed.
Last player standing.
Are you fucking serious?
Spike down A.
Target
Good job,
dead.
Cody.
Fuck, 136 on Sky. Wow, jeez, BM, shake my
What do you
head.
say, drone? Ready to stretch your wings?
I love how fucking Jet was like, you gave them time to rotate.
Save.
Like,
Or actually, chicken, can you buy me?
Man, most of the places that I do really like I think
bro, they
like burger
rotated.
place wise, like Shake Shack is probably up
Because
there.
they're
Like there's
fucking-
like different restaurants that I'm like, this is my favorite of this type of
Duelist wouldn't
restaurant.
go in.
Like I also live near like a Five Guys, and that's really good too.
Wall.
Please don't.
Still in sight.
Please do.
Reloading.
Knife deployed.
Barrier created.
Oh, knife destroyed.
Enemy spotted B.
What? Oh fuck.
I have spike.
Plant, plant.
Planting. Someone's behind us.
Just as my ult ended.
You will
Ah.
not kill my ally.
Last player
God
standing.
damn it.
Reload for bullets. They're gonna be soon. Ooh.
No,
Damn.
come on,
It
bro.
was a good try.
We just need Noah in here.
I know, he's slacking.
I was throwing.
I got 2 kills that round.
I did 80 to Reyna, 34 to Jet, 40 to Cypher.
I'm doing better than last game though,
I
so that's
killed
pretty good.
Reyna and Sky.
Chop, chop, chop. All right, we got this.
Shots.
No.
Shot, 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 shot.
Excuse you? Sir?
Still
Sir, ma'am?
Scanning ahead.
Hey, yo,
Ma'am,
Mr.
sir.
Sir. I was muted. Damn it. I can revive you if you want.
Enemy spotted.
Oh,
B.
Please.
What the fuck? 28 Sage, even though I fucking...
Is Sage still alive? No.
Fully charged.
Bruh, did our jet have
got
a
your
fucking
trail.
stinger? They're probably gonna rotate through garage.
Last player standing.
Ah, Sky's in
Spike down
heaven.
mid.
I couldn't move. Careful, that's how she got me.
I have the spike.
One enemy
Oh.
remaining.
They're all in heaven.
Yeah.
Good job.
If I had
God.
Match point.
We can end it now. Once more.
I have ult.
Can someone get this?
Spikes here.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, love.
Pigs.
Hey. Oh, that's cute. The back of Sova's hoodie has like, or cape has little ears. It's like a little Batman or a cat.
Oh, god damn it. Cody.
Shutting them down.
There's so many people.
Block in sight.
Where should I just ult?
Yeah.
They're not. Oh,
Don't walk through it, stupid fuck.
three souls.
they looked at you like you did something wrong. What the hell?
One enemy remaining.
Four dead.
I don't know.
No, she's like right there.
Don't. Oh, you have to. Okay.
GG.
Oh,
Attackers win.
Yeah, GG, man.
GG.
GG easy.
GG.
I top fragged.
Nice.
Yeah, you're fucking correct.
Not the MVP though.
No,
Oh, he got MVP.
No, I
No, he
didn't.
didn't.
You bitch.
Wait, who got MVP? Me?
You.
Oh no, sorry.
It's okay. I'm bronze now.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Nice.
Blondes.
You're bronze now? Already?
Yeah.
I'm not.
So does it
Yeah,
go?
did you get, I'm
It
guessing
goes
you
1,
got,
2, 3, and then the
like, a
next
star
one.
for that?
Yes.
How does it go?
Performance bonus 10.
Yeah. Oh damn, that's a really good performance bonus.
Wait, it goes up. So 3 is the last one you have until.
My
Yeah.
econ rating
Bronze
was
one is the
higher
next
than you.
rank for.
Oh,
all
okay,
of them.
okay. I was a little confused.
Your damn combat scores. Were...
Man,
Wait, was this the game I got the ace?
was it?
I think so.
Yeah.
It was. Ooh. Okay, ready for another one?
I'm gonna show
Sure.
Annie. Oh, you can see a little headphone spot.
Okay.
I'm gonna show you guys Annie.
I'm actually gonna get water really quickly. 1 second.
Wow.
No, and Cody's-
One Mississippi.
What?
You said 1 second. Are you
Yeah.
back?
Everyone did really well in our group, to be honest.
Oh yes, I will.
Babe, you went positive too. Plus, you're a Sova. You're our support. So.
No.
Noah was just playing TikTok Sage.
I got you, Kia. Annie. Eddie? Ow! Come on. there you go. Annie and her treats. She loves the treats. She was kind of vicious with this one. All the other ones I've given her, she's like, okay, you know, no claws, just, you know, a little paws, boom, goes up to grab. This one, she went right for it. Oh my god. Can't see it, but I got some damage. Oh, these, if you see, it says Las Vegas on it because it's from a Las Vegas Taco Bell, and these were filled with alcoholic freezes because why not? And we just kept the cups, so he has one and I have one, and it's got a handle. All right, but no, they're some good stuff. I was a big fan of those cups. But now there's a lot of stuff from the trip. Have you seen any pictures from the trip other than like I know you saw Twitter stuff. Let me show some good pictures while we're at it. So what's happening?
The shift.
Saw some on Twitter, but that's it. Oh,
Wow.
so here's
How
a couple
dare he.
things. So this is a video. It's kind of low quality because I'm doing it from a web browser. Like it's a little drone shot. Then we have going back. Also, I don't know if you're on. Are you on Instagram? Because if not, you might not have seen some other stuff. I got some other fancy drone stuff, but that was a little bit from California. I did some stuff recently, but here's something when the street flooded in front of my house. Because I was streaming and I was like, what the hell? It was like right when we got back too. It was crazy. Whew. Sad one account but never followed anyone. Ah. Yeah, there's a lot of pictures on there. And like I did the story on there as well, so there's a lot of stuff. You okay there, Noah? Noah. How you doing? Like there was this one area that we went to right here.
Yo, what's everyone's rank? I'm gold 3.
Like it was raining and stuff, and it was
unranked.
Oh hell yeah!
so cool.
Right on.
Like Noah and I went to this spot as well, but we went back to the spot too.
Or is this like not
In the
your
river
first
floating. No, if I had
this is
one,
my
I would
first, actually. It's pretty
absolutely
good,
do
though.
that.
Right on, right on.
I fuck with it. I used to play CS:GO.
It would have been so fun. Noah and I don't have any pool
Same
stuff.
shit.
Everyone plays CS:GO.
Bro, I feel bad for this guy. He just had gold 3 and he's like, I'm unranked. He probably feels so good right now.
I know. I wanted to scare the shit out of whoever it was, because they're probably like maybe up to silver 2.
No, now he's
Like there's a lot of
gonna
videos
feel
like
good,
this as
but he's only
well.
gonna get like bronze.
Just like places we went.
Thank God.
And it's
I
so cool.
finished my solitaire
we did a
game,
whole
and
bunch
I
of stuff.
started like after a minute and a half of us looking for a
Like
match.
we went out at night on top of Twin Peaks in San Francisco, and it's like over the whole city.
under 2.5 minutes.
We get it. You snort Adderall,
I'll destroy every Rainer for
I
what
don't.
you did to you.
or
Correction.
do you? And you just don't know.
Get this.
But I guess I don't know.
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, Annie. You're probably gonna leave me now. Go for it. Peace out. No, there's a whole bunch of stuff that we
leave,
did
Annie.
that
we don't.
I haven't
don't
really
want you
like
here.
put up or
you play
did anything with yet,
competitive in, CS:GO?
or done anything with yet. But it was a really fun trip. There's a lot of cool stuff.
I did, sorry. I was pressing the wrong fucking button.
You're good.
Eh. Oof.
Say dress.
2 weeks, a lot of time, and we went to like so many places. I'm already ready to go back.
bitch.
I missed the weather.
Yeah, coming down B. Wow. I hit the fucking last pixel.
Oof.
Reloading. Multiple enemies B.
Damn it.
Reloading.
Deploy.
Get out of
Here's
here.
the press.
Whoa. Thanks for the heal. Oof. Looks really hot. It really wasn't that bad. Okay, we did go to
Reloading. Enemy spotted B. Reloading.
Flash.
oh well.
One enemy remaining. Spike down B. Flawless.
Reloading.
Let's go.
We did go to Death Valley, and it got up to be like almost 120
I still can't
pretty
get over
much.
that owl, Silva.
And it was the hottest weather that I've ever been
Get
in.
away from my owl.
Ooh. And then Las Vegas was also super hot. And it was crazy
Yeah, I
because even
snuck
at
up
night it was
behind
like
them,
in the
and I
hundreds pretty
used my
much.
shock
Like it
dart
didn't
on the
drop below
Sage
90.
twice, and she healed, and then I just started shooting her.
It's been really hazy over here because all the fires. I know it's really crazy. Like I've been seeing a lot of stuff about that, and it just like it blows my mind. Like stuff like that travels so freaking far.
Hey.
Kind of scary.
Yeah,
No, that's
nothing in mid
the
either.
hottest weather I've been in. That's the only thing where I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna complain about my weather.
Enemy
Well, I
spotted.
just got domed. I wasn't paying attention.
Got dumb. That's not bad.
What the fuck? She's up top nest.
Enemy spotted A.
Phoenixes.
The weather in like San Francisco and LA was amazing.
Spike planted.
That'd be fine.
Excuse you?
I think you saw the Death Valley picture, but I'll show it again.
No charges left.
Last player standing.
Damn.
But like,
Fuck.
oh my gosh, it was crazy. But it was so freaking hot.
No, they're gonna play
Oh.
post plant. That's kind of annoying.
Did not mean to do that.
What's
We
post playing?
we gotta prevent them from planning all we can. Looks like they have a Viper that's gonna play lineups.
Yeah.
You remember when the sandstorms in Egypt traveled all the way over here? I forgot about that. I forgot that was a thing. I think sandstorms are one of the scariest things in my mind.
Sage.
Just because it's like I've never experienced one.
Oh.
Suppressing.
Well,
Hey.
I hit.
There you go.
Okay.
these guys
Reyna's-
are.
Reyna healed, so
37 right now. Oh, she might have failed again.
Okay. I'm only crying a little bit.
Last player standing.
105 on the raise.
Spike planted.
If we zoomed in, he could have got 2 good shots and knocked her out. It's okay though. Tornadoes scare you. Ooh. Tornadoes are very scary because it's like you can't really predict them per se. Like hurricanes are very scary, but you
That's
can
unfortunate.
predict that they're coming at least.
Time to stop
Man.
back up.
I blame no one.
My internet is being
Yeah, this one may be
literal
poopy.
shit today.
Let me protect A.
Yeah, I'm
But
gonna go
tornadoes are pretty scary. I haven't like experienced one, but I've been pretty close. But that is okay. I don't really need to experience one. Although where Koodles lives, the rainstorms there, crazy. Probably has a better chance of experiencing one than I do.
Oh,
Got one.
Shutting them down. The hunt begins. They're suppressed. Grenade.
they're planning.
Spike planted.
Yeah. Damn. Man, tornadoes at night
No
though,
way.
when you can't see them. Ooh.
One
But
enemy
I think the
remaining.
closest I've been to
Viper's gonna be
a
close
hurricane
by,
as well has been like Hurricane Katrina. Like
She's in
we were on
midnight.
vacation and then we
I
left
hit her for
like a
65.
like a day to a couple days before it happened.
Shock
I
dart.
forget exactly when,
I think
but
she may be close.
that's the closest I've been and the
Maybe
closest
not.
I
You
would
don't have
like
time
to
to
be.
defuse now.
One. I try to stay away from natural disasters if I can.
Clutch.
We
Alright.
just probably in those cases should go kill Viper,
Yeah.
and then worry
Catch
about
your breath.
defusing.
Not that I need to, of course. Need a drop.
Nope.
Well, I thought I was gonna kill her.
Yeah, I'm surprised that spraying didn't. I don't know where she went from there. I think she just jumped down.
This game is interesting.
Yeah, they're just pretty good on the enemy team too.
Yeah. Just wait though.
Some,
Just wait.
sometimes
All your
you,
opponents.
sometimes you take L's and loss or L's and
L's
comp,
and
too.
losses. Fuck.
L's and losses.
There.
Oh my god, they're hard pushing.
Okay.
God
What the-
damn, man.
Can we have I don't want to play this.
This game is hard.
It might get better.
Enemy spotted A.
Spike planted. Last player standing.
25.
I got a kill.
They're getting us.
They didn't get flawless.
Anyone have any splints? I may have jammed my fingers. Multiple fingers.
Our Smurf is not smurfing.
Yeah, come on. Smurf.
What do you mean? This
Smurfer.
is like bronze. This is bronze to silver elo.
Oh.
And I'm also in the top.
Not smurfing.
Smurf harder.
I
Come
have
on.
one less kill than you.
Yeah, I only have 3 less kills than you. Come on.
No way.
Well,
Vipers over there at the
Dude,
entrance.
oh my god, Reyna 35.
What the fuck?
Grenade out.
Spike planted.
There.
One enemy remaining.
damn it. Nothing on Viper.
Welcome to my world.
I'm ulting.
Black.
Oh, Viper.
Oh, they tried.
Keep it up.
Did I kill her? No, I didn't.
You just see Sage.
I'm having a dog game though.
Even with numbers, anything
You and me
can still
both.
happen. Remember that.
Bro, I am so broke.
So,
Come
bro.
by you.
Oh, almost jumped over your head.
No,
Yes,
I
thank
can
you.
buy.
The big sword
Get
you
out
got
of here.
there.
Get out of
Actually,
here.
Someone get this?
there.
All right.
What?
Can you buy this one?
Oof. All right. So we're gonna win this round again.
Damn, okay.
Oh! I need heal.
I'm coming.
One's on.
Them down. Enemy suppressed.
Reload.
Flashbang. Obstacle removed.
They're going around back again. Maybe to A. They're moving through their spawn.
Okay.
Oh my god, bad. I hit Raze for a little bit.
Man.
Fire in the hole!
Oh my god, run away, Raze.
Spike planted. One enemy remaining.
I don't know where she's at.
Suppressing.
I'll get
I
it to
don't
at
know.
least half.
That thing is so fucking broken.
Which thing?
I detonate. You don't.
What are we talking about? Taco Bell gun! Hell yeah.
I know humans get tired.
Nacho fries.
Yeah, it is pretty broken.
Reloading.
What are we talking about?
The Odin.
Oh.
Cody.
Yeah.
Weapon here.
I like this gun. Let's go. Ooh.
Shutting them down.
Damn it, I am too high. Ugh.
Down.
They're in kitchen.
Throwing charge.
They're gonna be coming out the back, you guys. Yep.
94 to Raze.
One dead.
Spike planted.
That's B, right?
I should assume.
One
Yeah.
enemy remaining.
She's kitchen.
Kitchen, up top.
Flashbang.
Somebody defuse, somebody watch.
Suppressing. They're suppressed.
Good job.
Beautiful.
They love
Nice.
explosions.
It's the Taco Bell gun. It really just gets you, you know?
It hits different.
You get the power of Liv Moss.
I don't want to live, Moss. How do you know it's live and not live?
Live Moss. Sold here.
Live mace.
Also sold here.
Live mass.
Big old mass. Sold here.
Start this party.
I mean, we're 4-4. Could be worse.
Bomb buddy out.
They're multiple A.
On my way.
Bro, I'm bad.
We know you are. It's
Shutting
okay.
them down. Enemy suppressed.
Oh.
Throwing charge.
Damn it. I'm
Joke's over. You're dead.
just a little too late on that trigger.
No!
Spike planted.
LQ needs to learn to aim in.
Jesus Christ, man. My aim.
Oh, I didn't know. he
Aiming
was
in
there.
helps on that gun.
No.
Yeah, you can ADS,
Once
and
more
also,
into battle.
was that the Phantom?
I'm not tired.
That was
Are
Bulldog.
you?
Bulldog.
Oh, yeah, the Bulldog, just don't buy it.
Yeah, Bulldog.
I like the Bulldog. In like the right situation, it really does you well. I got 2
Bulldog.
kills off of it earlier.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think the Guardian is just better than the Bulldog all around. The Bulldog.
The Guardian is
well,
nice.
if you ADS though and hit him in a headshot, it does insta kill.
And it's like close range. Like close range, the Bulldog without ADS, still pretty powerful. It can pack a punch, but you know, Gotta know how to use it. Hey, Quickie, how's it going?
She's almost dead.
The games, we've won all of them so far, except for this one. We're playing some comp. Almost bronze.
This Reyna
So,
attacks me every round.
Hopefully we win this one.
Viper jumped back down.
If not,
over
it's
there.
not a huge deal because winning two, not winning others.
She's dead.
Spike
Not the worst.
down A.
Spike spotted A.
A.
I didn't hit her. Reyna's up top. Probably gonna kill me.
Reyna hit 81.
Spike's up top there.
Spike down A.
Yo.
No,
Fuck it up.
Back up.
Yo, holy fuck.
What will it be this time?
Fuck it.
Have any patterns emerged yet?
She carried me for a
Nice.
second.
Been trying to get out of Iron 3 forever. Doing good, just making dinner. Ooh. What you having? Noah's got some Oreo churros over here. Yeah, luckily I have some teammates that are helping. Like, I'm not doing terrible now.
I don't know.
I'm really liking KO. But it definitely helps having you know, people to play with.
Thank you, I'm
If I was by myself, it probably would not be, you know, having as much fun and doing as well. Communication is
I
key.
don't think they're A.
I think A.
Oh! I may have died.
Where at?
Right on ramp.
They're going up kitchen.
Yeah. This guy's got to aim in on these guns from so far away. He's just spraying and praying.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Oh, dude.
Spike down B.
This guy.
Sage is over there.
Oh.
Up top. Going over
Last
there.
player
kitchen.
standing.
Man. Ooh, baked spaghetti. I love baked spaghetti. It's so freaking good. I haven't had it in so long. Yeah, it really is.
One enemy remaining. Spike
He has
down
the
B.
Damn. Oh.
30 seconds left.
That was amazing. He's so low.
There they are.
Don't peek him. Don't peek him. He has the op.
Deploying drone.
Oh.
Yeah, just keep trolling him. Just keep trolling him.
10 seconds left.
Don't peek. Don't peek. Oh, he has time. Spray the box.
Shot dart.
Yeah, beautiful.
Spike planted.
Shot dart.
Ooh.
He actually got it.
Oh no. Fuck it up! Damn.
Get the op behind you.
Don't worry.
Also here's Annie being a little crazy in the chair behind us.
You
Last round
absolutely
before the
fucking
switch.
clutch. Can I have the op?
Yeah, come here.
She got a little mouse
Thank
toy.
you. I have enough to buy.
She is absolutely precious. No, I'm telling you, like,
21 and 7 and it means
I'm
nothing.
I'm not the worst player, but I'm not the best player. But like, with these people,
gotta
like,
shower
communication
in
is great, and like,
18 minutes.
they just every once in a while it'll be something like that where it's just like, sheesh. And honestly, I wish I could be a cat.
I don't know if I
Such
hit
an
her.
easy life.
God damn it, I shouldn't repeat.
Where is that at?
Bro, this fucking Reyna.
Yeah, it's always the Reynas.
Is that it? Is that everyone A or?
Yeah, everyone's A.
Fragment.
If we.
Literally all of them came around the corner at once.
Player standing. Spike planted.
Oh my gosh, that just scared the shit out of me.
Oh, she does the jump. That's how she gets up there.
Switching sides.
Stay safe.
That's funny.
Going back in.
All right, well, we're on a different side now. We're tied as well, so I mean the game's not going terribly.
No.
It is. We're not winning. as well as I wanted to.
Okay.
Noah.
Right here.
Wait, you gotta go in 18 minutes? We're not gonna be done. It's fine if you have to go though, I
Reloading.
guess.
Oh, we better hurry.
Yeah. Get on it. Just win the rest of the games from here on out.
Just text and say you're gonna be late.
Hey, sorry, this Valorant match isn't quite over.
Let's rush in like they rush in.
Revealing area.
Suppressing.
No one's mid.
I have 1 health. Can I get a heal? Noah?
Yeah, where are you? Where are you?
For you.
Reloading.
Repairing.
Multiple enemies A. Enemy spotted A. Someone's in attacker spawn.
Flashbang.
Oh, 104.
Spike
Where?
down
That
A.
bitch. Viper bought shields.
Ooh,
Reloading.
right there.
Plant the spike. Plant the spike.
Fuck.
I got the spike. Spike here.
One enemy
We
remaining.
all gotta push in those
Spike
cases.
down A.
Oh!
Fuck it up. Woo.
Reloading. Let's get these idiots.
What was that, Noah?
Tell us, Noah.
Yeah, no, everybody would like to know.
I said I like to drink water.
No, 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 you
Really?
went. Water, 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 water.
Oh, water. I had to do that too. Yep.
As he picks up his big Las Vegas cup.
Honestly, it's a great cup.
It's a really good cup.
Suppressing.
Did not mean to throw that there.
Target
Can I have a
down.
heal?
Ooh.
Do we have Sage?
Sage is MIA.
Yeah.
I killed their Sage, though.
Fragment.
Take flight.
Enemy spotted A. Poison's gone. Party's over.
Oh, he's on the outside. Watch out.
It's gonna shadow me.
Watch out. I'm throwing this flash.
Yeah, that.
Enemy spotted
One enemy remaining.
Oh shit.
Well. Well, Sheriff.
Activate
Fuck, I was gonna
kill mode.
steal it.
That's a joke.
Effed.
Kill mode is default.
Spikes here.
Oh, fuck.
Bruh.
Have fun. Enjoy the spark.
The spoik.
I bet they'll never know that we're gonna go A again.
Look how bad I'm doing compared to last game.
Yeah, we're kind of upset, actually.
together.
Man, you suck.
That's how upset
I'm just
I am.
kidding.
I just wasted a Q.
I'm so. I hate this map.
Should we start watching out from behind us, or are they just never gonna do that?
I can watch.
Well, I mean, I don't know. They haven't done it so far.
Reyna did.
Oh, they did? Okay.
Satchel out.
Oh, the Phantom is just the worst gun in the game. I'm convinced.
I like the Phantom.
Viper hit 136 coming from behind. Viper hit 136. She's flanking.
Oh. Fuck.
Enemy spotted mid.
I could have easily
One
moved.
enemy remaining.
I don't know why I didn't move.
He was
Last player standing.
Yeah, he's over. He's near bomb, near site.
Joke's over. You're dead.
Ah. Gotta kill him twice now.
He can't defuse. He can't defuse.
Nope. Let's get out of there.
Run!
I got it.
Even better. Look at that sick ass knife. Hey, how's it going?
Ball.
Welcome,
Why is this
Snuggle
knife
Bear.
sick?
He could go mid.
No one.
Oof, more comp today.
I got this.
I did find a game that was it's called, I don't know if you're here or not. It's called Stream Racer. It's kind of like marbles, but with cars. So I wanted to try that out later.
Yeah, Noah, why'd you forget the spike?
Right here.
On a 15 at work. Ooh, it could be worse. You're not wrong. Hope work's going all right for you. Minus being at work, but
Oh,
like you said, could be worse. Damn it. Literally.
Spikes down.
whoa.
Spike down A.
Okay.
Spike retrieved.
Spotted A. Satchel up. Eliminate.
Fuck.
Phoenix 71.
All those shots that I missed earlier.
Stage heal.
Player
Oh, never
standing.
mind.
Oh my god.
Stage res.
Good try. Nice headshot.
Shaking my head.
Damn, we killed 2 of them.
I'm doing dumb stuff today.
You're going to scatter from my stuff.
Do we want to try B or no?
Maybe.
Going
Throw 'em
C,
off.
Going C. Going C. Going C.
Solid work.
Womp.
They'll never expect this.
Oh no, not at all. Not at all. Man, any interesting stuff happen at work today?
I don't see if
Any
anyone's mid.
weird people? Any Karens?
Welcome to my world.
Well, shit.
Opponent's killed.
Oh.
Suppress it.
Yeah, Sage is over there somewhere. Oh, back in, okay.
Enemy spotted. Reloading.
Fragment.
That never goes as far as I think it does.
Reloading. Reloading.
I think they're just leaving.
One enemy remaining.
Honestly,
Maybe not.
I would. Watch out, she's probably looking from behind.
She's behind the wall.
For you.
Just leave. Get out of there. Just get out of there.
Preparing.
Yeah. They really are, like, it's... The C always gets me.
Shutting them down.
Reloading.
Shutting them up.
I mean, if they're caught in there, yeah.
I got your back. Just, you know, from the front.
Yeah, I know. That's the one thing that I'm just, like, not
Noah.
getting the hang of is his orb. Sometimes it's really good. Sometimes it just sucks. All right. Let's do it to him. Anybody want to flash?
Ready.
Yeah, sure.
Womp, 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 womp.
Bomb buddy out.
Shutting them down.
Every time. Just like I was saying.
Oh, fuck.
Reloading.
Shock dart.
Satchel up.
Shock dart.
Now, that was just me right there. That was just some dumb shit.
Blank, blank,
Coming
blank.
behind. Raise.
Last player standing.
I think
Spike
A is
down
not
A.
our area.
Enemy down.
What the? Where were they? Where was she?
She was to your left on the floor at the gate.
I think she clipped the thing for your
Yeah,
head.
Ears still ringing.
that's exactly what happened. All right.
Here.
Should we
Yeah,
just go
I'm
B?
gonna. I think B is
I'm on
a
my
good
way.
option. Yikes.
Going C.
Slice.
Going C.
All right.
C. Going C.
Sorry.
Going C. Going C. Going C.
No.
Going C.
Is ready.
Negative.
All right.
Reloading. Enemy spotted.
Deploying drone.
Yikes.
Suppressing.
Just kidding.
Reloading. Reloading. Wall raised.
Damn it.
Requesting
I hit Viper.
Damn it.
I'm coming.
Where are they? And I'm dead. Oh no, I'm not.
Yeah.
Oh, now I'm dead. Oh well.
Somebody red. Okay.
No,
When he goes down, we can res him.
Okay.
it's okay. Noah decided that wasn't what he
I
wanted.
didn't know where their raise was.
I told you she was behind the wall.
Show me where to go.
Well, I mean, we got it. That's what matters.
Back to B.
I kind of wish I had a bigger version. Well, oh wait. The K-Tac is basically just a different version of this knife.
Clear to engage. Weapons hot.
Wow.
Go get it.
Okie dokie.
Take flight.
Can't see.
So,
I need heals.
Enemy suppressed.
I'm up top if you're looking for me.
114 Viper. Going towards Snowman.
Your duty is not. What the fuck?
Well,
Enemy spotted.
oh shit. She's like right on top.
Dude, why are you shooting?
Standing ahead.
Last player standing.
What a time.
Fuck this.
I don't know what the hell just happened. I just got here, honestly. Don't forget to heal yourself.
$30 seconds left.
I can't tell where the fuck that's coming from.
Damn it, I did
Damn.
one
They were coming from like both sides too.
Yeah, that's why I was.
Jeez.
Paint? Check. Charges? Check. Brakes? Nowhere in sight. I'm buying.
Alright. I guess time to go A.
Ah, man. Well,
I'm gonna save.
I am. I don't know. Some of these matches, they just get me, you know?
Revealing area.
Knife deployed. They're suppressed.
Hey.
Joke's over. You're dead.
Joke's dead. You're over.
Shut that.
Grenade out.
Careful
Oh.
behind us.
Sage hit for. Oh my.
Yeah, can somebody watch behind us?
Yeah.
I have Spike.
Nope.
Oh my god.
Last player
God
standing.
damn it.
Spike down A.
They're all down there.
Shutting them down. They're suppressed.
Good job. Reload. I think one's in the.
Flash.
One flank.
Yep. Damn.
Maybe we need to push
We're
mid.
really falling apart here.
Stay taut.
A little bit.
The fight
We
demands
can't,
it.
if we stay in like the mid area and don't push sight, then they can just all surround us pretty easily.
Nope,
So
did
if we're
not
gonna
know by
commit
that.
to a
think
side,
honestly,
we need to just push in.
Oh, I was
We need to
muted.
keep pushing B. That's
Noah.
worked every single time so far.
Except for the time it didn't.
It was an effort.
Yeah, that is true. Except for the time we all got mowed down at the entrance of B.
It's okay, don't worry about it. It didn't happen. Watch out in this corner here.
There.
They like to stand there. All right, have fun at work. Hopefully nothing too stressful.
Scanning ahead.
Suppressing.
What the fuck did I get hit by?
Ooh. What the fuck?
Last player standing.
No way.
I don't understand. I do not understand. I also have like no money.
Down.
Damn, no, you're going through those ice things like nothing. No, it's good. I'm fine. No,
Catch your breath. Not that I need to, of course.
I know it's like cream cheese stuff, but still. All right, who's ready to win?
Don't you have to get ready pretty soon, babe?
Yeah, I don't care.
You're like, oh man, traffic was killer.
I'll just tell them that we've been getting shit with the house figured out.
Mm.
Okay.
Oh man.
No wind to hold them. And wind to fold them.
Satchel out.
Revealing area.
I
hate this game. I want out.
What the?
Honestly,
There's no way. Her fucking eyeball couldn't have got me there.
so fucking stupid.
Emergency
Oh,
reset
Cody.
required.
It's too. No, don't revive me. Oh well.
Last player standing.
Well,
Just let him win.
I don't know what he was doing. I don't know what I'm doing even.
The 8 and 16
Match point.
fucking Viper just said easy.
Yikes. Yeah, there we go. I just mute all enemy text chat just right off the bat.
Do we want to go mid?
I tried
I don't know.
suggesting that. Someone's mid.
Reina hit 101.
Oh,
Alright, Cody.
no, that's my bad. I wasn't looking.
You will not kill my allies.
Last player.
Oh,
What the fuck?
Defenders win.
oh well. GG's. Can't win them all. If we could, be a little bit higher elo. Oh, let's see. Not Noah.
Me.
Hell yeah, you still have bronze 1. That's what counts, right?
-9 PR.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's not bad, honestly.
You got -9, I got -10. Bro, what the fuck?
-21.
Oh, well.
-21. Oh my god.
Next game.
That is my last one.
Oh, shit.
Mine too. What do you know?
I knew it was your last one.
How the fly times.
Well, no, what are we doing now?
How the times have tabled.
How the times have tabled.
Do you want to see if we can get people to play DBD?
Sure.
Heck yeah.
All
I'm
right,
gonna
well,
go find something to eat though.
Yuck.
peace out.
See ya.
Peace.
Thanks for playing.
Around.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, Noah. What now? DBD?
Yeah. You can play killer, or we can try to find someone to play survivor with us.
Hmm. Let's see. Oop. Oh, my bad. Dead by Daylight. Man, we had some good games today, though. I mean, 2 out of 3 is really not bad. It's almost empty. See? Can't even see it. All right. See how these Dead by Daylight games are gonna go. I've been avoiding playing it because it's a little yikes. You know?
Yep.
Oh, Nawa.
What?
Here you go. I don't know. Anybody keeping up with the Olympics that are going on right now? Because I am not at all. And Noah's kind of interested in them. But it's like one of the first years I haven't watched it, but I've seen a lot of TikToks from Olympic players. 10 out of 10. Like about the beds, and then one of the a couple of people from the swim team for USA were kind of making fun of like the people who drop their babies in the water and stuff for like and they like snap and stuff so they stay afloat. I don't know, whatever it's called. But they basically just did that. I thought it was kind of funny. All right. Well, let's see what is. Nope, not killer. Survivor. You want to join me, Noah?
Yes, it might only be us two.
That's okay. Alright, well, I guess I'll be playing Steve. I am almost... I have 6 escape cakes. I'm trying to figure out what I want to bring, because I have pretty much all of the perks. I'm working on getting Jill's, and then we'll be all of them. What do I want to bring? 'Cause these two are probably gonna be there for any build that I do. What do you think, Noah? What should I do for different perks? I'll keep borrowed time just in case.
Do you have We're Gonna Live Forever? Gives you more blood point.
Let's see. When healing another survivor in the dying state, it's increased to 100%. Gain a token. Perform a safe hook rescue. Take a protection hit. Rescue a survivor by stunning the killer with a pallet. Rescue a survivor by blinding the killer. Yeah, I'll do that. Why not? Who doesn't love blood points? Well, I'm ready whenever you are. I just have to...
I am ready.
I gotta stun some people for a challenge, and that's pretty much it. And I re-downloaded PUBG again, Noah.
Ooh. Does Julian still play PUBG?
Every once in a while. I got it a long time ago, like before I started watching Julian, and it's a fun game. I haven't taken the time to actually like really get into it. I feel like if I actually like get into it and find people to play with, it'll be really fun. I don't know anybody who plays PUBG. It goes on sale a lot. Let me see. It's 30 right now.
Okay.
But it's a battle royale game. You know what it is, right?
Yeah, I'm interested in it.
I tried to get you to get it whenever it was like 14 bucks and you're like, nah.
I know. And
It's a fun game. But like any game, it's a lot more fun with more people. Man. All right. You ready to fight some people? Make some killers angry? Oh shit, we got some cakes. Did you bring a cake?
I did, yeah.
I brought an escape cake because, you know, I just want stuff for me, not anybody else.
Wow.
I know. It's so nice of me.
How dare you?
Gotta turn the fan on. It's getting hot in here. Sheesh. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. I don't know. No clue, Noah. All right. Oof. So the event's over. Blood Hunt starts 29th, so this coming Thursday. Yeah. I don't know. What happens for a Blood Hunt, Noah?
Double the blood point.
That's a pretty good deal. I might wait to use my cakes then. Yeah, I think after this, I'm not going to use my escape cakes. I'm going to use like other offerings and stuff. Boom, boom. All right. Blood Lodge. Auto Haven Wreckers. Oh, I forgot how dark this is.
I forgot borrowed time. My bad, my bad.
Oh, how dare you. It's okay. I have borrowed time. Good one. Come on, Jane. These teammates we have are very hesitant. You know? Do you know who it is yet? Oh,
It's Legion.
it's coming over. Oh, shit. Hey, she got it done. I'm just gonna tap this real quick. Honk. I'm gonna run to the other side of the map and start getting gens done because I don't want to accidentally get a bunch done over here. Wow, pallet right away. Did you get her down with it?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck it up. Bump, 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 bump. All right. Oh, shit. Did he go into frenzy?
Yep.
Yeah, I see. Oh. All right. I'm working on a gen by the main building. A building? I don't know. They are on the ground for a little bit.
Yep, they're after me. Okay, picking up.
Okay, I was gonna say I'm a little far away. I just saw Nia run by. Maybe she'll come over here. No? Okay. First hook of the match. Almost 2 gens done. So there he goes. He's gonna tunnel.
Gonna find out in a second.
Oh, he's over my way. Well, fuck. He's gonna mend. They're going away. Oh. Okay. Interesting. How goes the gen work?
Good. How about you?
I mean, where are you at?
0%. Starting to open now.
Okay, like on the other side of the map.
Yeah, by the house.
I'm by the house.
I am too.
Oh.
I'm not on the house. See. I'll go for the save.
No, somebody stay on. Gotta go. Oh, just kidding. Okay. Man. Vision took her a little far away. I got a good hiding spot, Noah. Okay, I'll just get this person off. Okay. That's a token. I got an extra token. Oh, he coming. Are we not getting any other gens done? Was I like the only one doing
I
it?
think he has pop.
Well, he kicked a gen just before he hooked somebody, so if he does, he's kind of slacking. God damn. Leave me alone. All right. Shit. Okay. It's an interesting time. I'm cleansing a Dole totem. Mainly for the blood points. Alright, Jen and I are on a gen. We're at like 75. You can get it done. I canceled an interruption. I interrupted a grab. Smack. Oh, there's like nothing out here. I think I might go down. Oh shit. Oh. Okay. It didn't destroy the pallet. All right, I'm working on a gen on a hill. Oh, this is our last gen too. Ooh, bougie.
Go to a door.
Oh, no way. Go to a door?
Yep.
I'm going. Oh, no. Because he hit me, my adrenaline just healed the fucking
Oh,
men.
man.
Oh. Well, I didn't know that was a thing. Well, I got one.
I found it. It's over here.
Get it.
I'm on it now.
Okay, he's picking her up.
I have deliverance, so oh, she's dead. Damn it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna open it. That sucks. What do you mean, wait?
Just in case of the Freddy perk. Is it blocked off?
No.
Oh. Try to leave. It won't show until you leave. Like almost.
I know. Why does this guy want me so bad? Fuck. Oh, I'm scared. Oh, you got me scared. Oh.
That scared the shit out of me.
For a second, it looked like you swung back at him. I'll get some heals, please. Get out of the damn locker. Oh my god, boy. You really not gonna help? Really? This fucking Steve. You gotta be joking me, dude. I cannot. He stunned us with Leon's grenade ability. Where are you?
I'm on a gen. He left me.
Going to the other side of the map.
I think he has Tinkerer.
Oh, I can hear him very well. Okay, well, I'm just gonna go over here and pretend like that didn't happen. I don't want to like do the gen over here because 2 of them are done. I'll do this one. Good enough. Oh, Steve, my boy. Oh, Steve. I should have worn my Scoops Ahoy thing. Outfit. For Steve. Yeah, how you doing? Looking good today. Oh.
Okay, the gen I'm down by is almost done. Go finish it, go finish it.
There's a gen over here that's almost done too.
He didn't kick it.
What about now?
Nope.
I have borrowed time.
Okay, take a hit.
Use it.
Yep. Go, go. Going for you still. He didn't even hit me.
I know he's coming for me. Oh! Oh my god, that was the scariest thing.
I'm dead.
I'm sorry. I really tried. I really did, Noah. Oh shit, that scared me.
This is 90%, but he kicked it.
I'm going to the other side of the map just to go. This is barely worked on. Oh, there's another person over here. Okay, we're both on the gen.
He's coming to you too.
Guys. Right, he's going away. I'm gonna keep working on the gen. It's at like just a little over 50. One might say 60%. I can't figure out where the doors are. I haven't really been looking.
I might one of them. Nancy, no. Nancy, get on this fucking chin with me.
The gen's almost done too. You. Oh, you missed. Oh fuck! I can't get you off, bud. Here, you know what? Fuck it. It's okay. He got away. Just open a door. Nobody's at a door. Or even is one. He's not leaving. Okay, so nobody's at a door. Awesome. Why does he want me so bad?
Took the BT hit.
Bitch. Nobody's opening a door! What the fuck? That's for blowing me up earlier, Steve. This is something else. Where's the other door at?
I don't know.
Oh, it's over here. Come to the other door. No, over here.
Here, let me heal you. I want to save him.
Let me heal her. If he comes over here, I'm getting out though. Oh, he's coming. Wow. Sorry, team. Okay. I'm not leaving just yet. One of you open that door over there. He's still... Nope, he's not over here anymore. Oh, shit.
Yay.
Oh shit, he coming. Come on, Steve. No, I will heal you. Oh, I forgot I don't have that other perk anymore.
You can leave.
We're not leaving yet, don't worry.
No, you can go.
We're healing. Well, he stabbed himself. Come on. Come on. Okay, fine, I'll leave. That was an interesting game. I don't know why. Oh, maybe it ended. Jeez. No GG's from Deathslinger's girlfriend? Oh. Wait, here we go. Never mind. Ugh. Alright, what I think I'm gonna do, I think I'm going to end stream here actually. So, dum dum dum. Get that out of here. Thanks for coming by. I'll be back Monday or so. So see you guys then, and have a good night.